Hi everyone, this is Footprint Without Feet from class 10, lesson number 5 from supplementary book. But before that, if you have not subscribed my channel, please do so, and thank you for your love and support. Now, Footprint Without Feet is story of the protagonist Griffin. Griffin is a brilliant scientist. He has conducted many experiments to prove that human body can become transparent. After conducting a lot of experiment, he swallowed a rare drug and he became invisible. His body was as solid as glass, but it was invisible. This shows that he was really hardworking and he has made a remarkable invention. Although he was a brilliant scientist, he was also a lawless person. We get a list of all the adventures that he undertook after becoming invisible. So as soon as he becomes invisible, he sets his landlord's house on fire because the landlord wanted to throw him out of the house. So he was revengeful, and since he was short-tempered also, he would get angry very soon. He set his house on fire. So he was without clothes, naked, since he had to remove his clothes in order to become invisible. He was without house since he set his own house also on fire, and he was naked and barefooted, and he tried to enter a house in the middle of London when two boys saw him. So they saw footprint without feet, and these two boys, they were bewildered, they were shocked. They tried to follow these footprints, but then the footprints disappeared on the street. This was his second adventure. Then, since he has chosen that time of the year, it was mid-January, it was very cold and he needed something to cover himself. So he went into London store, he stole food from there, he unwrapped all the boxes, took out clothes, and he tried to make himself warm, and then he slept there taking quilts. But in the morning, the assistants came. They saw somebody sleeping there. In order to run away from them, he again had to throw up all his clothes and he got away from there. After that, he realized he had to cover himself since he cannot be naked all the time. So he went to Drury Lane. This was the center of the theatre world. There was a theatrical shop. He went inside without anyone noticing him. He stole clothes from there and other accessories like whiskers, goggles, hat, and bandages to cover his face. And after wearing everything, when he became visible, he hit the shopkeeper from behind. He stole money from him and ran away. Now he realized that he could not stay in crowded London. So he took a train and he escaped to a small village, Epping. And there he took a room at Mrs. Hall's inn. Everybody in the village got to know because in winters hardly any visitor would come at the village, and everybody noticed him because of his strange looks and habits. Mrs. Hall, she tried to be friendly with the scientist, but he told Mrs. Hall that he wanted to be alone, and there are bandages around his face because of an accident. And Mrs. Hall, since she was getting the money, she ignored this eccentric scientist. His money got over and he told Mrs. Hall that he was waiting for a check. The same day he went to clergyman's house and he stole money from his study. And this clergyman, he got up when he heard the chink of money. He went to his study with a poker in his hand, and when he opened the door and said surrender, there was no one inside. They searched everywhere, and for them it was really extraordinary. But more extraordinary than that happened at Mrs. Hall's place. Mr. and Mrs. Hall found something very strange early in the morning. The scientist's room was open and they decided to go inside and check. They could see he was not there. There were bandages all over the place. And at the same time, Mr. and Mrs. Hall, as they were investigating, they heard a sniff from behind. That means Griffin came from behind and a hat came towards them. It hit Mrs. Hall on the face and then a chair came towards them and pushed them out of the door. It was actually not these things moving, but Griffin moving them and trying to throw Mr. and Mrs. Hall out of the room. Mrs. Hall, she was upset as the chair of her own mother came against her. She started crying. She was hysterical. She called Mr. Jeffers because she thought this scientist has done some kind of witchcraft. She now wanted to ask Griffin what he has done to her furniture and how he appeared from the same room which was locked by the chair, and how he was giving that money. Everybody in the village also thought that this scientist has to do with the burglary at clergyman's place. So finally, when Mr. Jeffers come at that time, Griffin, when he was asked these questions by Mrs. Hall, he gets furious. He got very angry and he said, "You do not know who I am. Let me show you." So he unwrapped his bandages, and suddenly they could see a man without head. And Mr. Jaffer, he was a man of duty. Since he had to arrest a person, he would do it whether with a head or without a head. So when he tried to arrest him, he hit Mr. Jeffers and the people around him. Mr. Jaffer, he falls unconscious and he runs away from Epic. Now from this excerpt from The Invisible Man, we come to know that science can be a boon or it can be a bane. It can be a blessing or it can be a curse. It depends on how you use it. And Griffin has not used it. He has misused his discovery. He could have used it in order to do good to mankind, but he misuses his discovery. So science can be used either ways. This is what the story teaches us. I hope you like the explanation. Stay tuned for other lessons. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.